What's going on, everybody? Chris with my service area, back with another conversation today. And I'm lucky to have another lawn care guy, another MSA lawn care guy, Bobby with Redline Lawn Services. Hey, Bobby, how you doing?
Hey Chris, how you doing?
Good, man. Thanks so much for taking time to jump on and talk about your business and what's going on and how you're using MSA and whatever else we get into today.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. I know it's been a little while since we've had the chance to catch up.
Yeah, and you went and had a baby, so we couldn't meet this summer.
I know it. It's funny because you're just down the road.
Yeah, yeah. So for the audience, Bobby's in South Carolina as well. So this is pretty cool. Unfortunately, we haven't had the chance to meet face to face, but hopefully in the future, and maybe if he likes football, we can invite him up to a Clemson football game.
I take you up on that.
Well, we do it. I married into this Clemson family, even though I'm from North Carolina. I'm married into this Clemson family, and my wife is like fourth generation, so we're up there for the home games quite a bit. And how far is Clemson from you?
I think it's about 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours.
Gotcha. Well, speaking
Not
of
too far.
speaking of where you're located, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, where you're located, your business, and what services you guys offer.
Yeah. So we're located just below Charlotte, North Carolina, in the Lake Wiley, Rock Hill, South Carolina area. And we're primarily lawn maintenance, softscape enhancements.
Gotcha. Is it just you, or do you have some help as well?
Just me, but when my wife's available, she helps me out.
Awesome. And guys, a big thanks to Bobby. He's a fireman as well, so thank you for your service.
Thank you.
And he's actually at the fire station while we're recording this video. So just
Yep.
getting off his shift. So
It's
thanks
my
again.
it's my second home.
Right, right. So how did you get in what's the backstory? How did you get into the lawn care world?
Yeah, so I got in the green industry in 2011, but leading up to that, I started young in the workforce. As a kid, I was a paper boy for my local neighborhood as a really young kid. And then my dad had a couple side jobs. He was in the fire department as well, still is. He can't get enough of it. And I would help him at our church, and I just started there walking in front of him on the push mower. I remember it clear as day. And shortly after that, a friend of mine and I, we started our own lawn care company just to make some extra money in high school. And we didn't do a lot of services. We just did a little bit of snow and lawn maintenance, just a couple young kids riding around on the mower and trimming the shrubs. And then after that, I went to the fire academy, finished college, and then after all that, we moved from New York, central New York area, down to South Carolina. And then I got on the job down here, and then formed Redline Lawn Services in 2020.
Now, what brought you down to South Carolina? Just family, or were you guys just looking for a new place to relocate?
Mixture of family and a fresh start. The fire department was a big part of it too.
Nice. Now, how long have you been? How long has Redline been around?
Well, I officially formed it in 2020 and early 2020, and we didn't skip on any of the paperwork. We filed everything and got everything official from the beginning.
Gotcha. Now we before we hit the record button, we were talking about how long you've been using MSA or my service area for the listeners that are not familiar with my service area, and I was trying to look up your account. I wasn't quick enough before I hit the record button. Um, but it looks like it was. I mean, it was like it's almost been a year.
It seems like it's been a while.
Yeah. Now, refresh my memory. How did we connect?
So I heard you on the green industry
Oh,
podcast
on Paul's show.
with Paul, yeah. And then I found out you were in Charleston, and I'm like, it's so like, how have I not connected with him yet?
Right. So now, what systems do you use to run your business?
So we use for our CRM, we use Yardbook,
Okay.
and then our website is powered by Wix and obviously assisted with MSA.
Now, do you use QuickBooks as well on the accounting side?
So I believe in Yardbook, it's still in beta, but we aren't using QuickBooks yet. My wife honestly, she handles all the books,
Oh,
and
nice.
she does a great job. And I think it's easier for her to manage it within her own software,
Right.
Excel or Microsoft Word, whatever she uses, than jumping into QuickBooks. But I know it is pretty easy to use because you can link those two together.
Right. So, so tell me how. So you're using Wix, and we got MSA on your website. So tell me a little bit about the experience or your experience using MSA and um, how it may have how it's been helping you or solved any problems that you had previously.
Yeah, so I just found it pretty interesting right off the bat when I first heard it on the Green Industry podcast, and we use it to assist as a screening process, but it also allows us to give prospects and clients a better service because it filters out those leads that are not within our area. So it's truly a time saver.
Now, were you scared that it may hinder your business or take away from your business?
No, honestly, I wasn't at all. That hasn't even crossed my mind because I'm trying to get more dense. I know that's a popular word, but
Right.
it's a good mindset framework to have for us lawn maintenance guys. You don't want to be driving all over the place. But I just when I get a client that's in my area, they want our services and I can give them everything versus because I've had those leads where they're not in the area and you just go back and forth. I'd rather give it to a client within our area.
Yeah. I mean, you're the lawn care in the trash can cleaning world, because I'm in the trash can cleaning business. It's the same thing of, you just can't be driving around everywhere to service everyone.
No,
You definitely have to be mindful of traffic and miles.
yeah, not when you're lugging around your fleet. You know, you have your truck and trailer and all that equipment. In my case, I get about 8 miles to the gallon with my truck, so
Yeah.
got to be cautious where I'm driving.
Yeah. Excuse me. You sound like me, driving the trash can cleaning truck around. It's 7 or 8 miles to the gallon, and
Yep.
you're pulling all that weight. What now? So
Yeah.
what equipment do you use in your business?
So primarily we're lawn maintenance. So we have our obviously our zero turns, trimmers, edgers, blowers. Um, but we're a mixture of Echo and Steel. But we are actually today we're purchasing some new equipment. We're going to be getting a new zero turn and a new backpack blower. So I'll have that on my Instagram.
Nice.
And then for our trailer, I switched from an open to an enclosed trailer. Save that unload time, unload and load.
Right.
That got pretty tiring after a while.
I bet. I can only imagine. So I got sidetracked with the equipment because all of a sudden the equipment popped in. But so what can you share how life before MSA and then life after MSA and kind of how you use it, because we always get questions in the lawn care as we start to have more conversations and get more exposure in the green industry, is that for a single operator like yourself, do I even need a tool like this? How would you answer a question like that? And again, how are things before and how are things afterwards after implementing it?
Yeah, so before, we're actually getting more traffic now through our website, and I'll share some of those stats here in a little while. But before, we didn't have much traction on the website, and I do believe that MSA has helped drive some of that to us. But it just I was wasting so much time going back and forth saying, "Oh, are you in this area?" and just all that fluff. And now there's none of that. They're either in or they're out.
Which is a huge time saver. I know it is for me because I don't know if it's like you when in the summertime. Well, I guess it's a spring rush for you guys, but when it heats up within the trash can cleaning world, coming home and having 5 or 10 or whatever that number of requests in your email box, not having to look up those addresses and know that you could service those, it makes life a lot easier.
Well, it's funny you say that because before it was, hold on, let me see if you're in our service area. Or another example is, we only service this area. And then they think that they're in their area, but they're not, because I have it all the way dialed down to a neighborhood or a street, which MSA fortunately allows us to do.
Yeah, that goes back to zip codes. I had a conversation yesterday. We've got another customer that's moving over to a system, and um, the system that they're moving over, the guys that he's working with, that said, "Well, why don't you use a zip code filter?" And the response, I sound like a broken record, but zip codes are like people; they come in all different shapes and sizes. You don't service all people, so why would you service all zip codes
That's right.
in your
And
area?
yeah, and to touch back a little bit, before MSA, my wife and I were driving, and here in Charlotte, the traffic's crazy. So we were driving sometimes over an hour to go do a yard for $50. But those were the beginning stages.
Yep.
You have to do certain things, pay your dues. But it's just funny to think about that, because now I have it down to, some houses are next to each other and some are maybe 10 minutes apart. I think my farthest is maybe 15, but that just goes, that ties into making sure you plan your route well for the day.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean
So
that sounds like when I got into can cleaning and I just bought the business and I was tracking the miles. I mean, there were a couple of days throughout the month of the routes that I was traveling over 100 miles, and it's
yeah,
just
I'm right there with you.
I was losing money left and right. Um, and back to your statement about paying your dues. The hardest thing that I have found and experienced, because I've done a lot of different things and thrown a lot of darts at the wall to see what sticks. Um, it's hard to say no when you're first starting out. When probably in the back of your head you should say no to that job, but the dollar signs are overpowering the no. So I know it's hard in the beginning. You just want to say yes to everything when sometimes you should say no.
That's right. Well, when we came on board with MSA, we cut our territory in half.
Oh wow, I didn't know
So
that.
we had to get rid of, we had to unfortunately let some pretty good, very good clients go. But when you're spread thin like that, you can't, I believe you can't give, well, I know firsthand, you can't give your client the services they deserve, and that you can deliver, because
Right.
you get there and you're rushing, you don't have enough time. But I find myself now that I go to my accounts and I just slow down.
That's interesting. That this is the first time I'm hearing this. Because when you first said that, I'm thinking, it comes down to numbers. Because right, business is all numbers. It's all math. Um, what makes financial sense to make the numbers work? And so I was thinking that when letting good customers go, but now it not only is it the math, it's actually the customer service that you're providing um, can be affected if you're spread too thin.
Yeah, and to me, that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
And it's just not fair to them, because you're not if without your clients, you're not doing any of this.
No kidding. I
So
just
treat
I just went up on my pricing this year, and I've already lost a handful of
I
customers. But
I went up to most of ours. We retained, to sidetrack a little bit, but we actually didn't let anybody go. Some are going a different direction, but I think they'll be back.
yeah,
I mean, we have a pre-existing relationship too,
yep,
so it's going to take time for them to form that with another service provider.
yeah. They may have that one bad experience, and they'll be calling you back.
Yeah, my goal is to have, especially being owner operator, I have a zero tolerance. Well, I try to have zero customer complaints,
Right.
and that's pretty easy if you do what you say you're going to do and you communicate with them and treat them good.
Yep.
So honestly, I don't get any customer complaints. Knock on wood, but I have systems in place where we can alleviate potential complaints. And if something pops up, normally it's not a complaint. It's hey, when you come next time, can you pay extra attention to this one area? I had this going on, something like that.
Now, how many accounts do you service currently?
So we're around 30, and that is fluctuating, but I do think it's I do think it's going to go up this
What
year.
what what
But
would be a sweet spot for you?
say about 40 or 50, but I'd have to be more dense than I am right now. And my clients I have right now, I keep going back to that, but it's all about building that relationship. I've had them for quite some time, so I'm not I'm not itching to get more.
Right.
So if they come in, they come in, but I need to make sure that I'm taking care of the clients I have right now.
Trying to be smart about your growth.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can be we can be selective now.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, and obviously MSA does that for us.
Yeah.
And
So
it does. So I don't even have to, unless I get an outside lead. But
that's
MSA
a
does that
yeah,
for us.
well, that's a valid point. Thanks for sharing that. So, before we hit record, one of the things I was going to tell you. So, um, now if you're watching this and you don't know what MSA does, basically you can create territories on a map, polygons, and when people visit your website, oh, excuse me, and it attaches to buttons like get a quote, get a free estimate, lawn care estimate, softscape estimate, and you can tie those territories to a particular service because we know we've learned in the lawn care world that you guys offer more services and different services have different profit margins. So, in those, I guess the weed and fertilization, if you offered that service, you'd be willing to travel further because the profit margin's higher. But anyway, when a person comes to the website and they click that button and they enter in their address, if they're in your territory, they get through. If they're out of territory, it says, "Hey, sorry, we don't service your address at this time. We're a growing company. Leave your email," or you can customize that language. And we need to revisit that for you too, because we've been doing some kind of like A/B testing on some messaging, and we're finding that the more you have a personal, I guess, connection or message there, like, hey, we are a small growth, but we're a small company or we're a growing company, people are more likely to give information. So just a side note on that. But anyway,
Yeah.
now when you're out of area, you can turn on the option to collect the name, email, and telephone number. The email is default. That will always be there. But now the name and telephone number are new fields added to that. So if somebody were to fill out that information, and since MSA drops a pin on the map, maybe they're not that far outside of your territory, and you can check and see where that pin is. And then if they have their information, if they left their information, you can say, hey, Miss Jones, thanks for the inquiry. We actually may be able to help, you know. So that's another thing that we've listened to our audience, and they said, hey, you know, hey guys at MSA, you know, Chris and James, we need to capture more information on that out of area. So that's something that we just released this week.
That's awesome. Yeah, that may help on the back end too if they're close.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the whole thing, right? They having that visual to see if they are close or if no, they're way out.
Too far.
Yeah. But you've got that you've got that information if you use, you know, MailChimp or something like that. You can put them in the system, and if you do a quarterly or monthly or annual email, you've got that information.
That's right.
So you mentioned some stats that you're going to share. What were you going to share?
Yeah, so our website, it still hasn't been around for too long. I think it's been around for, actually, I think it's been around since, I think I formed it in 2020.
Uh-huh.
But we have gotten heavier into it within the past year or two. So I pulled the analytics for January this last month, and our website viewings are up 358% from previous months. So that's 55 total viewings. Now we're a small company, but that's 55 potential clients, 55 potential leads. And then our new visitors are up 94% with our top traffic source being direct to the website. So it's not Instagram, it's not Facebook, it's not Google.
That's pretty darn impressive. I wonder,
yeah,
you know, we've got you on the MSA home site, and for some reason the plugin that I use won't let me link our customers, whatever little they're, I don't know. Sometimes I'm technical, and a lot of times I'm not technical. But anyway, that plugin won't allow us to link the customer images to your website. But I'm wondering if they see that, and if they're in the lawn care world, that helps us too. I don't know. It's interesting because I haven't talked to anybody else about website traffic, so that's
yeah.
good.
I pulled the analytics because I knew we were going to have this conversation, and I saw it and I was pretty surprised.
Well, that's good because Google loves traffic.
Yeah, but other thing too is for people that are interested in MSA, check out the websites that are already using MSA to kind of get an idea of what it'll look like. Maybe you could connect with Chris and get an address, sample address within our area, and you could run through the process where you plug a address in there to get a quote, and you can see what it looks like on the other side from the client's eyes.
Yeah, I mean, our biggest and I've said this before, our biggest challenge is people say it's intrusive, that it's going to affect the leads that come in, and what we're finding is that that's not the case. And we've got some very tough data driven customers that said from the beginning, hey Chris, if this tool, if this one step affects our conversion rates, we're done. And they're still with us. So
Yeah. Well, I know it's obviously helping us due to the stats that I pulled from last month, because I haven't seen stats like that up until now.
that's awesome.
Last month.
That is awesome. Exposure, exposure, exposure. So what it for somebody out there that's looking to get into the lawn care world, what would be your advice of the do's or don'ts, either way?
Do's and don'ts. Well, for people getting into business, make sure you prepare, but plan to struggle. Depending on what you're getting into, it's not easy by any means. So you got to have that drive to not quit. I'd make sure you're dense and you have the right equipment, good equipment to do the job. Most of us that have been doing this for a while have the war stories from the early days of getting the used equipment and stuff breaking down, which that happens, stuff breaks down, but make sure you have the right equipment to get the job done efficiently. And I would say be cautious about how much debt you bring on within your business, especially if you're a solo person. And make sure you have a retainment plan too for your clients, because again, like I said, it's all about them. So this time of the year, it's hard.
So what do you mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, this time of the year, everyone is combing through their roster, and for us, we send out our inquiry forms. So we don't do contracts. We're pay as you go service. So each year around this time, we send out those forms and we give them all the services we offer for that year, and they can go in and select what they want, and then they can update any information that is needed for their account. And then we either get the green light or the red light if they're going to stay with us or not.
So it ties into good communications.
Good communication. But that's another reason why we'll stay on the account all year round. But we stay on the account all year round because it's important to maintain that relationship with them and keep their property nice.
Right. Well, good deal. Well, Bobby, thank you so much for spending some 15, 20 minutes with us today, talking about your business, talking about MSA. We certainly appreciate the support and helping us get the word out there as we continue to grow in the lawn care world. We feel that there are a lot of people out there like you that we could help as well.
Yeah.
And for a small fee too. That's what's
that's right. I appreciate you having me on, but for those listening, I would definitely check out Chris's software. I think it'll be of great value to those that use it how it's meant to be used.
And speaking of that, I'll put the link to your website in the show notes.
Okay. Yeah, we have our website, and we're mostly on Instagram. That's where most of our traffic is.
Yeah, go ahead and share that. Go ahead and share that, since you I forgot to ask you about that. What's your Instagram handle?
It's Redline Lawn Services _ LLC, and then the website is the same, Redline Lawn Services LLC.com. And then I just made a Facebook page, same thing, Redline Lawn Services LLC. It's the same across all three, but the Facebook is still under construction. I don't do a lot on Facebook. I think we're going to, but I enjoy Instagram more than Facebook.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat you are. With MSA, we do YouTube and do Instagram. I don't do a lot on Facebook. I mean, I think there is an MSA page, but I don't think there's one post on it or one follower. I don't think I've ever announced it actually. But Instagram's so easy.
Yeah, it is. I like the old Instagram where it was just pictures.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, I've been recording a lot of some, I guess, reels or whatever they're called. I don't do TikTok. I will never do TikTok.
No, we're not on. I know it's a popular platform, but we're not on TikTok.
Yeah, I won't go down that road either. Anyway, Bobby, thanks a million. Thanks for your time again. Thanks for your support. Anything that we can do, let us know. But I'm sure people will appreciate hearing about your business and how you're using MSA. So thank you.
Appreciate you, Chris.
Yeah, man. Take care. We'll talk soon.
You got it.